My friends, my siblings, my brothers and sisters, this report is a hybrid. It's part light-hearted reflection, which I had prepared to share with you at the luncheon with which you honored me and Vivian on March 30th. And it is part final comments that I need to leave with you as I make my departure from you as interim senior pastor. Thank you for your tremendous display of love, generosity, and appreciation, and for the great honor that you have afforded us in many ways. You poured out love upon us last June, honoring my 35 years of ministry, our 35 years of marriage, and my 60th year of life. And now, 9 months later, you did something similar again. So we are mindful of the efforts and the self-giving that made both efforts possible. And we shall never forget you or forget any of it at all. This interim assignment has been an amazing journey. I'm not referring to the countless hours spent in airports, airplanes, cars, buses, trains. Neither am I referring to what Kathy correctly estimated to be about 40,000 miles traveling back and forth from Connecticut. I'm referring to the journey I have made with you. And while the travel has made this more unusual than wearisome an assignment, it has been handsomely offset by the joys of what we have accomplished together. So it's not a stretch when I say that these 2 years of ministry with you have been, in many ways, the most significant of my 35 and a half years of ministry. My pastor report of August 2018 and the strategic plan that you will soon be able to access either in your hands or on your laptops. Those two documents fully catalog the assignments that we have tackled together, and they tell the story of this journey. To a congregation, the interim process could prove annoying. Interim pastors have unique tasks that regular pastors might do, but generally not with the kind of latitude or currency that an interim pastor enjoys. Interim pastors can introduce painful necessities which settled pastors might do, but the settled pastors may pay heavy costs that the interim pastor might not incur. That sometimes means, though, that churches short-circuit the blessings of the change that their pastor is seeking to bring. There may be more change that your next pastor might inspire you to make. I trust that our journey together has made you open to more change. As well, I trust that he or she would not impose change on you, but instead, as we did, explore together with you what change is needed. Although I am confident that most of Union's leaders and members celebrate most of what I was to you and did among you, I'm aware of the discomfort that parts of my leadership and direction may have been to a few. You should know that a genuine pastor doesn't enjoy applying medicine, knowing that it is not just necessary but crucial for avoiding bad outcomes. Every pastor, at the end of their tenure, wishes to be able to declare, like Jesus did in his prayer in Gethsemane, that he did not lose one person from the flock. While I'm glad that we have recovered some, I'm unhappy that we lost any, especially when the reasons for their departure sound immature. It's worse when they walk away from the flock without the respectful courtesy of advising the pastor or the flock, especially if they serve in some ministry leader capacity, and especially if they go off to lead in another church. But despite some instances of that, I'm happy that I'm leaving behind a better culture of leader accountability and responsibility, and some measure of congregational maturity where you are, as Paul says to the Ephesians, no longer infants, ready to grow up into him who is the head, that is Christ. Now, had I continued to live in Swissvale after the first year, and had my family lived here with me, this entire transitional process might have gone differently. In addition to what I'll ask you to read again in my pastor report of August 2018, and what you'll eventually read in the strategic plan that was delivered to the council, we might have accomplished more in fellowship, in better understanding of worship, and in many more training and teaching opportunities. These would have fostered and further enriched deep relationships, a goal that I think union, in my personal observation, is yet to reach between many of you. I would have loved to know some of you better. Vivian and I would have loved to have invited you into our home and have deep conversations with many of you. We would have loved to have seen you practice it avidly among yourselves. You're a gracious and flexible congregation. You've allowed me to flourish and share with you gifts that I had longed to share with other congregations before you. You caught me at a point in my life and ministry when those gifts were at their most mature and most developed. And that resulted in immense mutual blessing. I've had the immeasurable joy of watching some of you grow in love, mature in vision, steady in faith, and develop in perspective. Of course, there are others I would have loved to see join you in that growth. Now, this assignment has not been without sacrifice. Long days away from my beloved wife, no matter how great the company of less scales has been, and even longer days of loneliness when I lived alone in the apartment have been no real joy. The travel has been hard on my body, a little bit on my car. The costliness of travel was offset a bit by your generosity. No congregation, even with better resources and larger membership, has come even near in consistently blessing me as you have, with your unswerving respect, cooperation, and a willingness to learn and to change. Not even close. Simply put, the flip side of my sacrifice, which Vivian has graciously shared, has been our immense blessing. I cannot reflect on my sacrifice without encouraging some of you about yours. I've wondered what greater benefits Union might enjoy if more folks invested their time and their presence sacrificially, since it doesn't take them 8, sometimes as many as 12 hours to get to town. I still don't know a better place to be on a Sunday morning than at Union, whether it takes 20 minutes or 13 hours to get here. When the writer of the letter to the Hebrews tells us not to forsake the assembling of ourselves, I think he or she isn't throwing out a law or another rule to follow. Instead, I think the writer is warning us not to lose out on the marvelous thing God is doing, even when the spectacular appears to be absent. In other words, on the road to something that blows our mind, and on the road to the robust church, we must endure some ordinary-looking meetings as part of the requirements and preparation. Now, all of that is not to overlook some outstanding people with whom God has blessed you, Union Baptist Church. The membership at large includes so many warm and welcoming people. Never before in any other church, not even in the Caribbean, have hugs come so easily, warmly, and genuinely as people left the sanctuary at the front door after worship. Even though you've given us many gifts, you've taken the prize. I have truly felt like a brother and a relative. The rest of the church will forgive me for singling out your ministry leaders, but not because I name them means that, not because I may not name the other members means that they too aren't special. Because the ministry leaders work more closely with me, they deserve a special word of mention. So let me address you directly and personally. Ella, you're a power horse, and you should forgive us for forgetting that you live in Ohio. You're a true and effective servant. Linda, you are a conscientious, meticulous sister who strives for perfection, and you do not let it go until you think you've found it. Jewel, you're a sincere and faithful sister with many gifts that you share freely and professionally. You've blessed us. Julie, your commitment to children, even after you've left that ministry, is beyond question, and your dependability there is impressive. Cynthia, you crazy woman, your simplicity and tirelessness are tremendous strengths, and your interest in others ahead of yourself is simply astounding. Bertha, you're an indispensable mother to many, a quiet and calming presence that assures us that love is in the house. What a gentle spirit God has given you. Nicole and Erica, I'm grateful for your willingness to harness your partnership in crime from childhood for serving us as co-leaders of a crucial ministry. We welcome you, we welcome your energy and your steadiness. Ronnie and Kathy, you have led a still growing transformation in what happens on Sunday mornings at Union. You're gracious, you're thoughtful, you're busy, and you're reliable, and you're so sweet. Jacqueline, 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 what a gifted, helpful, humble, and transforming agent you are. After Quads, Union shall never be the same again. You're a very special gift to Union. Andrews, my brother, keep on teaching and encouraging everyone as a big brother. And when you're finally making good on your promise to take them to Ghana, call me. Javon and Dante, you and your boys make good music. And your quick response to work with our youth is as impressive as you both are. Thanks. Jerry, you are among Union's best blessings. You're approachable, you're humble, you're consistent, you're willing, and you're a true servant. Everybody loves Jerry. Now, all these folks I've just singled out have done outstanding work. They've dedicated themselves tirelessly to their tasks, and they've helped develop Union to the readiness for the future that you now possess. They lead teams of people whose names, though not mentioned, are not unnoticed and shall not be forgotten for their faithful and transforming partnership with everybody else. But there's some other folks who need special mention, and I address them too personally and directly. Rodney and Leela, you are so gracious to have opened your home to us, complete with not one but 2 keys. Rodney, you've been a self-giving servant. I appreciate the countless times you picked us up and dropped us off at the airport at all kinds of ungodly hours, always with a smile and always with a greeting, welcome home or come back home soon. Both you and Leela are among the world's most generous hosts. Thank you. Donnell, you're not that much older than I, but you're the big sister I've loved to tease and in whose presence I become a mischievous and playful boy. The same thing happens to me around Minnie and Bertha and Marion and Audrey and Diane and the list goes on. Never in my whole life have I loved so many women at the same time. But Donnell, you've been an efficient partner in administration and execution. Thank you. And then there was one. What can I say about Les Anton Scales? Les, you allowed your house to become mine, including your kitchen. You never put me on any guilt trip for wakening you when I would enter the house long after a midnight arrival, but then that's because you would not even know I entered the house, even when on creaking floors I'd walk right past you on your favorite sleeping surface. The hours of conversations we shared are priceless and went a long, long way to encourage me and help shape what has become of Union. When I met you, my brother, you were scary smart and scary wise, and 2 years later I'm still scared. My son, you rock. My friends, hopefully soon the pastor search committee should be done with its work, and in a few months' time you'll have your next settled pastor. It's my hope that he or she would join with you and affirm the strategic plan that you've developed as God's will for your future. It's a demanding plan into which I hope all of you shall dig deep, stretch high, and give all the time and energy, presence, and gifts that the Lord requires of you to execute it. And now, what unfinished business remains? That, of course, would be up to you and your next pastoral partner. But from my departing perch, here's what I see. 1, you should print and make available Union's membership, the strategic plan, not as a done deal, but as a proposed plan awaiting the arrival and embrace of your next pastor. 2, your 10 current ministry leaders should have looked over the strategic plan already and have started meeting with the various teams to discern what parts of the plan await your input so you may be ready to go when the plan is formally launched. 3, I think you should ratify and approve the bylaws that have been in draft form for a while. Number 4, one challenge that I think Union faces because the church licensed in the past as many preachers as you did is to provide opportunities for these persons to improve their preaching skills. And so I think there remains some thinking to be done regarding that situation. 5, you've accepted in principle the need for an ordination and commissioning council. Go the rest of the distance and assemble the council and set it to work. 6, in relation to that item I just mentioned, the ordination commissioning council, remember that you were urged to include among the persons you select for deacons next time around younger and male candidates, and I hope that Some of you, regular members of Union, would be ready to pray and ask the Lord's guidance about if He's calling you to be one of those. 7. Union's members and regularly attending friends need to improve their consistency of attendance, so you might enrich your worship and strengthen participation. 8. Do a survey to gauge and evaluate the amount and quality of Bible study, discipleship development, and prayer that each Union member of all ages engages in weekly, and be prepared to make the adjustments to ensure that everybody does a reasonable amount of that. And remember now that you're a church that is aiming at becoming a spiritually robust church. 9. You've made major strides in the quality of your Sunday worship experience. Keep working on it. Be creative. Be careful to keep a distinct biblical content. And watch those lyrics. I think that hymnals are far richer in theological content and in the broadness of the Christian faith than too many Christian people realize. So use your hymnals a little more often. 10. Call a couple of work days and work weekends at the church campus to beautify it, spring clean it, and spruce it up. And one of our dear sisters has already set the pace. And so we thank her for her work. And 11. Consider the wide range of actions that were suggested a couple of Sundays ago when the other Dr. Friday led you in reflection on making Union into a friendly church. And especially explore the possibility of putting signs all over the borough in strategic places as long as the borough allows you to do that. Finally, my dear friends, you can become the spiritually robust congregation that you must become. Do it. You can become the spiritually robust congregation that you must, but only if you give yourself totally to it. Give it. You can become the spiritually robust congregation that you must become, but only if you claim it as God's mandate on you. Claim it. You can become the spiritually robust congregation that you must become, but only as you walk with God. So walk fast. You are already a warm congregation. You are already a gracious congregation. You are already a respectful congregation. But now you must become a spiritually robust congregation. Do it. Give it. Claim it. Walk fast. Serving you has been one of the 3 greatest honors of my life. Being married to my wife is one, and having served the Jamaica public as a chaplain, police chaplain, has been the other. Of the other 12 churches I have pastored in the last 35 years, you have become the one closest to my heart, the one most memorable, the one most pleasant to remember, the best pastoral experience ever, and the crown of my ministry. Vivian and I love you. In Trinidad, we try not to say goodbye, we say until. So, until, my beloved, until. And remember, you're the little church that can. So may the Lord add daily multiple blessings on you. At the same time, may you grow daily in doing marvelous things in God's power. Let Swissvale hear about God's mighty acts in your midst. May you be brought face to face with Swissvale's most needy of God's love and grace. Let your denominational family know that God is at work among you. Let Pennsylvania remember that there is a good and active God empowering you daily. So as the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir sings, go forth in Jesus' name. Go forth His word to proclaim. We are commissioned to show men the way. Go forth in Jesus' name. By His Spirit and the power of His might, we will conquer the darkness with His glorious light. Jesus is faithful and He'll never change. Go forth in Jesus' name. Amen.